did a lot of damage, and the best thing is this damage is consistent. And I will show you how to use this build, so let's get right into it. The Earthen Bulwark Detonation build is a true endgame push build capable of clearing the highest nightmare dungeons efficiently, and one of the few builds that can compete in the PvP as well. So if you're looking for a build that do high damage and explosive damage, but all of this comes together by damage reduction and barriers. So let's get right into it. So for the helmet I've gone with Aspect of the Might. And the most important part is barrier generation and cooldown reductions, and attack speed is pretty good as well. So for the helmet you can put on barrier generation because you'll need a lot of barrier generation. I will show it to you later. So for the chest I've gone with the Aspect of Disobedience, and you need total armor and damage reduction, and a lot of damage reduction actually. And as you can see here, I put on barrier generation as well. And now for the gloves, I'm going with the Crash Stone Aspect. You need critical strike damage with earth skills and attack speed and lucky hit chance. And for the pants, I've gone fully damage reduction, as you can see. This is the Aspect of the Mending Stone, and you need damage reduction from everywhere, and this is pretty good. And here I'm using damage reduction while fortified, because fortified is what this build is all about. And for the boots, I've gone with Ghostwalker Aspect. It gives you movement speed while unstoppable for 4 seconds, and it's pretty good to have, minus low roll, as usual. And now for the weapon, we are going with the Crone Staff. Using the Crone Staff allows for higher event cast for Nature's Fury reset. This is because Claw, being the default basic skill on our skill bar, is more attack volume than the Storm Strike. Because of the effects of the Enchant's Claw and Wild Claw, each cast of Claw will also trigger a Storm Strike for a strong source of damage reduction and vulnerable, as well as acting as a second event for the Nature's Fury. And now for the amulet, we have gone with the Symbiotic Aspect, and what you need here is Envenom passive. Get it as high as you can, and you need some movement speed, and you will also need some cooldown reduction. That is really important. And you will also need damage reduction while injured. That is really important as well. And this Symbiotic Aspect is really important for this build, really important. And for the rings, we have gone with the Aspect of Natural Balance, critical strike chance, and fortified generation and barrier generation. This is a really good one as well. And for the second ring, we are going with the Rapid Aspect. And for the second ring, we are going with the Rapid Aspect. It says basic skills gain whatever, attack speed, and you'll need barrier generation here, and you will need critical strike damage with werewolf skills and critical strike chance. That is really important. Now let's go over to the skills that I use for this build. So for the basic skills, I'm currently using Storm Strike and Enchant Storm Strike and Fear Storm Strike, which is really good. And for the second basic skill, I'm using Claw. This is a really important one. So for the core skills, we have 3 on this one and 2 on this one. And if we go over to the defensive skill, we have 1 on Cyclone Armor, 1 on Enchant Cyclone Armor, and 1 on Preserving Cyclone Armor. And now to the most important one, we're using the Earthen Bulwark, Enchants Earthen Bulwark, and this one, Init Earthen Bulwark. And we're also using Ancestral Fortitude and Vigilance. Now going over to the companion skills, we're using 1 on Poison Creeper. This is an important one. And we're using Enchant's Poison Creeper, and we're using Brutal Poison Keeper. Now going over to the Wrath skills, we're using Hurricane, Enchant's Hurricane, and Savage Hurricane. And 3 on Crushing Earth, and 3 on Stone Guard. And 1 on Neurotoxin, and 1 on Toxic Claws, and 6 on Envenom. You will get this by your amulet. And for the ultimate, we're using Petrify, and we use Prime Petrify. We don't use the Supreme Petrify. And we use Defiance, Natural Disaster, Resonance, and Quick Shift. And for the key passes, we're using Nature's Fury. This is a really important one. So yeah, this is my skills that I use. So that was the skills that I use. Now let's go over to the Paragon board. For the first board, we're using Territorial, which gives us increased damage to close targets, and you gain 10% reduction against close enemies. For the second one, we're using Heighten and Malice and Fang and Claw. While in Werewolf or Werebear form, close enemies take 12% increased damage from you. And for the third board, we are using Shapeshifter. Shapeshifting has a 20% chance to cause the skill's damage to critically strike. and this one is Thunderstruck. Now for the fourth board, we are using Inner Beast. With the Protect one, you gain 10% damage reduction while you have an active barrier, so this one is really good. The fifth one is Earthen Devastation. Your Earth skills deal 30% increased damage to enemies afflicted by crowd control. And the glyph we're using is Werewolf. For every 5 willpower person within range, you deal increased damage while in werewolf form. You gain 10% damage reduction while in werewolf form, so this is a really important one. And for the sixth one, we are using Lust for Carnage. Critical strikes with werewolf skills restore 2 spirit, and this is really good for spirit generation. And the glyph is Undaunted. For every 5 intelligence purchased within range, you deal increased damage while fortified. And additional bonus is you gain 10% damage reduction the more fortified you have. So this is my Paragon boards, and by the way, I will link in the description the Paragon board, my skills, and everything you need to know in the description for both Eternal and for Seasons. And for the Spirit Boons, we are currently using Wolf. So for the first one, we need Awareness, take 10% reduced damage from elites, and on the second one, we're using Swooping Attacks, gain 10% attack speed, and on the third one, we are using Pack Leader. Critical strikes have up to a 20% chance to reset the cooldowns of your companion skills, which is this one, which we can spam alongside the Earthen Bulwark skill. So we just need to spam these two together. And on the second one here, we have Bolster Fortify for 15% of your maximum life when you use a defensive skill. This is a really important. And now for the last one, we're using Calm Before the Storm. Nature magic skills have up to a 10% chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 2 seconds, which is Petrify. This basically means we can almost spam our ultimate, which stuns our enemies. And sometimes when we use this will trigger the nature passive, the key passive, which will make a thunderstorm, and you will do a lot of damage. So this is the Spirit Boons. And now I will show you how to use this build in game. And as you can see, I just started a tier 100 nightmare dungeon, and I will show you to you what buttons I use. So mainly, that was my Petrify, that's this electric stuff. And now I just spam my Bulwark and my Poison Creeper, which triggers the explosions together. I'm gonna show you here. Hello, it's me from the editing booth. I just saw how much damage I just did on every mob in that room. That is actually insane damage. Wow. Anyway, let's continue with the video. As you can see, I just did about 70 million crit damage. And now we have a blister here as well. And you have the Cyclone armor that pushes them away. And you have the Hurricane, which is gonna make them go away as well. And I just died because I suck at this game. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and goodbye.